Okay, that was fine. It was okay, but you know, it's not bot, it's bot, right? I need a and just okay. From the top. Hey film friends, I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be reviewing Todd Field's new thrilling psychological drama, Tár. If you're new to the channel, our format is simple. We'll start off with a quick synopsis, then we'll discuss our likes and dislikes, and we'll conclude with some deeper analysis on the themes and some of my own original thoughts and conclusions on the film. And hey guys, we got bonus content this time because we're going to be doing a deep dive spoiler section. For those of you who've been here before and you all know the deal, feel free to skip around and use the timestamps in the description below. And of course, as always, please stick around to the end to get our FOF rating out of 5 stars. Without further ado, this is Tár. Set in the international world of classical music, Lydia Tár is one of the greatest living composers. This is the dramatic story of her downfall. So, as usual, let's start off with what we liked about the film. For starters, this is one of the best and most intricate scripts that I've seen in a very long time. In fact, it's so meticulous that it actually threatens to be overwritten. It's not, but it walks that line. Even though Lydia Tár is a fictional character, all of the other details surrounding the international classical music scene, the composers are real figures, everything else about the story is just so well researched and executed. And this comes through in the writing as well. Of course, the biggest buzz coming out of this film has just been for Cate Blanchett's tour de force performance. Watchers of our previous videos will know how partial I am to Michelle Yeoh's work in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Cate already has like 19 Oscars. But I have to admit, her work here is completely stellar. It is a performance that you can tell she spent time studying the craft of composing and conducting, and she fully inhabits this maestro whose world is psychologically unraveling. Another thing I love about Tár is that this movie does not hold your hand. It shows you bits and pieces, little flashes of events that happened in the past, and then forces you to try and solve the puzzle, to rearrange them into what actually happened. There are many good shots, a lot of great cinematography, but to my mind, the very best sequence in the film is one of the sickest oneers of the year, and probably the quintessential example of just how committed Cate Blanchett is to inhabiting this character fully. In the scene, Lydia Tár is conducting a lecture at Juilliard with a group of younger students, and she gets into a conversation with one of them who is queer and a person of color. And because of Bach's sort of patriarchal lifestyle, this young man has said that he is not interested in listening to any of his music. And because of this, Blanchett's character flares her nostrils, digs her heels in, and decides that she's going to take down this young man because he's unable to separate, in her mind, art from artist. And so here she's attacking aspects of identity culture. And Todd Field is putting all of this issue under the microscope for us to examine. Okay, so let's get on with a few dislikes from the picture. Cold, high art, long. If any of these designations turn you off, then Tár may not be for you. Beyond those things, I think that the first half of the film may just be a little stronger than the latter. But specifically, I just think that the film takes too long to end. Now, I'm not saying that the entire picture is too long. That's not something I happen to believe. What I'm saying is that Tár just loses a lot of well-earned momentum in its waning moments. It grinds to a halt. All right, at last, let's get to some of my original thoughts, some themes that I found in Tár that make it so interesting to discuss and ruminate on. The film opens on an extended interview with Adam Gopnik of The New Yorker. Fans of the classical world will recognize these kinds of extended interviews, which sort of serve to promote coming concert series and things like that. But the point of this interview is to establish for us, the viewer, early on, that this lady is a genius. Kind of a big deal. She's an EGOT winner. She's the first female to ever conduct and lead the Berlin Orchestra. An ethnomusicologist. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. But I think the movie isn't really about how great she is. No, it's more about myth-making, the performance of self. The art here is not so much in what she's created. In fact, we're never really sure how great of a composer she is. Of course, we assume she's one of the best in the world, given her prestige and place. But the art here is more about curation, branding, how we sell ourselves to the world. So the film is heavily in dialogue with social media at all times. There are scenes of an unnamed individual live streaming Lydia on a phone and then being in dialogue with others. These are the first signs that we see, from the opening frame really, that she is not universally beloved. So as things begin to come to light from her past, director Todd Field begs an important question. Are people more willing to forgive celebrities or great artists? Do their achievements cause us to look away? Do we get so caught up in fame and adulation that we stop holding powerful people in the arts accountable for exploitative behavior? And the impressive and incisive thing that Todd Field does here is that he actually implicates the audience in this interrogation of the question. Tár also runs into elements of cancel culture. I mentioned the oner sequence earlier in the film. Well, later on, there's a sort of supercut and hyper-edited, out-of-context video which shows Lydia verbally attacking this young man, and its posting and dissemination wide are one of the things that help to hasten her undoing. Believe it or not, in a film all about music, noise is also a major theme. There's a sequence early in the film when Lydia Tár's character is speaking to a mentor of sorts, and he says that our sensitivity to noise is a measure of intelligence. But noise also functions as the source of the things that are haunting her. Doorbells, the ticking of a metronome, screams in a forest. Happens to me when I'm outside jogging too. But the noise also seems to be symbolic of all these things swirling around her too. Social media, emails, the past just catching up to her. So the question becomes, can we escape the noise? For Lydia, that seems to be running into the embrace of classical music and Mahler's Fifth. But it becomes increasingly unclear whether or not she can get away. The noises also accompany possible signs of the beginning of a psychotic break. But to hit that, we need to get into spoilers now. All right, as you may have guessed, most of our discussion here needs to center on the events that take place in the third act. I think many people will take Lydia Tár's comeuppance and the wandering denouement at face value. This was initially my reading too. After all, there seems to be real-world counterparts for every event that seems unexplainable. For instance, real people in the real world see her with cuts on her face after she falls. So it's just tough for me to buy that this is all some sort of dream excursus. On the other hand, Tár is clearly haunted by her past mistakes, most notably the character of Krista Taylor. We get the back of a head which is probably hers in the opening New Yorker interview. And if you look real close, she's in the corner in the shot after Lydia wakes from one of her nightmares. But for me, the whole it's all in her head storytelling trope is awful almost every time. But I'll acknowledge that there are very haunting moments. It's obviously not straight naturalism, but there is always something tactile alongside the phantasmagoric. In other words, there are key details that we can see and touch, but there are also unexplained things like a missing score or sounds that we don't know. Or for instance, when we see that mashed up sort of supercut oner, the camera angles are coming from different places, and when the actual sequence occurs, we really don't see anyone with their phone out in the auditorium. There are many unexplainable things. So of course the big question I think at the end is, did she tackle Mark Strong at the podium conducting the fifth? I suppose we really can't know. But for my own part, it just feels a little bit like the film's early intricacies and attention to detail are somewhat drained of their meaning if this was all some sort of nightmare or dream in her head. And finally, I just want to return to the denouement that occurs right after that moment. Specifically, why does the film spend 20 minutes ending and show her going to this place which may or may not be the Philippines and learning to conduct and just displaying her downfall in all of these sort of slow details? It all seems to be kind of an elaborate setup for a sardonic joke just before the credits roll. But could it be that there's just a little glimmer of hope left for Lydia Tár? That if she starts at the bottom again, anew, that she can work her way back up, as people forget these things over time. So what do we conclude overall? Tár is one of the best written and directed films that you'll see in this or any other year. Todd Field has done a masterful job. Heck of a directing comeback after 16 years off the job. It's anchored by a titanic performance by Cate Blanchett. An art film destined to contend for many awards. A picture that enthralls us, even as it sends shivers down our spine. Well, there you have it. The only thing left to discuss is our rating for this film. The FOF rating for this film is 4.3 out of 5 stars. If you enjoyed this review, please let us know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. You can also hit that little bell so you get notified of every new video as it gets released. We'd also love to hear your comments. Do you agree with our rating? What are your thoughts? And please don't forget to head on over to FurmanOnFilm.com where you can explore our blog to your heart's content. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Stay firm, my friends.